You are in for an interesting ride.
Hi folks, so I'm back with an unexpected interview. What I mean is that I've taken some time out, and it's really to have a look at my portfolio of projects, which includes another book or two to be written, the rewriting of my musical called Fifth Dimension, which I've just recently completed, and the film projects and music projects that I have got ready to be rolled out one way or the other. Then on Monday the 19th of May, I attended an event in London at the Karma Sanctum Soho Hotel in Warwick Street, number 20. They had a cinema screening room there, fabulous little boutique hotel, quite different, but it's really funky. So the event was a screening by Mark Christopher Lee of King of UFOs, which was really looking at the history of UFOs as known by the royal family. And it was very, very good indeed. That was preceded by talks by myself, a young man that we're going to hear about today called Charlie Carter, and Luke talking about crop circles, and a couple of others, Dan from Derby talking about disclosure, etc. Really, really great. It was a very nice connection, very nice event. When I met Charlie, he told me about his project, which he'd just spoken about, called CONSPIRICLEAR. And I thought, what a great title. I loved that. And basically, he's about creating a hub where a whole index of subjects from everything from, say, chemtrailing to UFOs to anything you can name that has come under the umbrella of conspiracy theory is written up in as much an academic and journalistic investigative way as possible. This is something he just started about 8 months ago, and we are here recording on the 28th of May, which is Wednesday, 2025. I thought this was just a really nice opportunity to hear this 21-year-old's idea, and it really does have, I think, great potential to become something really quite superb in the UK. So I wanted to support Charlie and invited him for this interview. And so you're going to hear about his concept, a little bit about Charlie. I want to thank Mark Christopher Lee again for putting on that event, King of UFOs, and wish him very good luck because he has a couple of other films doing the rounds in film festivals, and congratulations are in order because I think they're doing very well. So now let's meet Charlie, who has created something called CONSPIRICLEAR. And I was fascinated by this. I think it's a great initiative. It's not to do with the ET UFO thing, but it is to do with disclosure, a broad mesh of subjects. So I really wanted to find out what has inspired Charlie to do this. Charlie, do just give us a broad stroke introduction to yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, where you're from in the UK, what you're doing with yourself, and then we'll get on to CONSPIRICLEAR, your baby.
Yeah, so my name's Charlie Carter. I'm from Harpenden, UK, in Hertfordshire, and I'm a student journalist and also the founder of CONSPIRICLEAR, a infrastructure for truth. And what we're trying to do is build this clean room where we can take every single theory, lay it out on the table, and track down every single source that we can, track down every single theory, and really break it down so people can actually see what's going on instead of just pulling from all of these different places and bringing it. So the subject matter we'll be covering is every single conspiracy theory. So we're going to focus on a few today, like government disinformation campaigns, ancient civilizations, or touch a bit on the UAP. And I'm really excited to get into it. I think we've got a lot to talk about. But no, we haven't got a team yet. We're in the very, very early stages of building it. So hopefully with this interview, we can, bring ourselves out there a bit and start building a network of people who are interested, people who've got stuff to bring, whether it be lawyers, doctors, journalists, investigators, whatever. Like, everyone's got something to bring to this. So, this is a public effort for trying to heal disinformation in the conspiracy theory domain. And, it works for both sides. So people who enjoy conspiracy theories, people who don't enjoy conspiracy theories, you'll get your clarity there.
So basically, it's really like a hub that you're providing. And when did you begin this, Charlie?
So ConspiraClear itself probably started about 8 months ago, just in the broad ideas of it. And I mean, obviously, it's been quite a big undertaking, actually building this and trying to like put all the pieces together. So I mean, we've been started probably in September, and we've played around a bit with some AI tools, trying to collate a lot of the research and stuff like that. And now on Monday last week, when we spoke at King of UFOs, we started bridging out and speaking to people and trying to build our network. And then after we've built the network, we'll start building the platform more. And then after that, we'll start launching investigations.
This was partly inspired by some tough times you went through, because a lot of people over the last few years have been through some difficulties and challenges
Yeah,
linked with health and all kinds of stuff. And there's new UAP stuff coming out, just because I'm referencing that because that's been my wheel for the longest time. So just take us through, if you're comfortable doing that. I think
absolutely.
it's helpful for people to hear about someone else's process and progress.
Yeah. I mean, I won't go into the direct causes just because of the effects it will probably have in people in my personal life. Probably when I was about 14 or 15, I just started snowballing out of control in terms of hallucinations and delusions. So I sort of lost truth to myself, just in my own world, lost reality a little bit over probably about a space of 4 years or so. And, I've had to claw my way back to reality and to sort of, see the world the way it is instead of getting lots of these outside stimuli, if you will. And when I came back out of it, I realized that the world was in the same situation I was in 4 years ago, and no one knew what to think or what was real, really. I mean, we've got such a diluted media environment and news environment that people don't know whether to trust these sources or not. I mean, especially if we look at COVID and stuff like that, where everyone was inside, and a lot of trust was lost in the mainstream institutions. There hasn't really been something big to replace it. Something big that can give direction to these people who have lost where they're going, and it's an experience for everyone. Obviously, people who fall down these rabbit holes sometimes go a bit too far, sometimes get lost in the facts and the overwhelming information that's out there on the internet. So ConspiraClear's goal was to, centralize all of that and pull it back together. I mean, that's what I did personally when I lost my reality. Is I had to take every single instance that I thought I'd lost reality and had a hallucination, and go back and pull each one to see what was actually going on.
You sort of referenced it in terms of sort of mental health, and it's like losing your rudder, isn't it? Sort of being a rudderless boat there, and you managed. You the thing is, what's so brilliant about you, Charlie, is that you recognised it for what it was. You had to go through that, I think, to know it, so that so your compassion element, so your understanding element, faculty can grasp that when other people maybe reference things in terms of the mis and disinformation element, that you're very much wanting to uncover and bring out the nice, bright, shiny truth. And sometimes it might not be such a comfortable truth, but once things get settled, like the lies and misinformation we've been subjected to for donkey's years, not just with COVID and stuff, but that was extreme.
Yeah.
An extreme example of a global cabal orientated mind control, basically. And they did a good job. It shows fortitude for you, and I think that's great for anybody else. It doesn't matter what their age group is, to know that you can go through these events, which can be really challenging.
I mean, certainly. I mean, a great network can only take you so far when it comes to mental health. You do sort of have to be the driving force yourself. I mean, lots of support absolutely is needed, but recognizing a problem in yourself is probably the first step in that case.
So you've told us that so far you've been building. I don't know if you said you built a website, but I know the website's out there. So which looks again quite well informed and easy to navigate. We can just perhaps delve into one or two subjects.
Yeah. So should we start with some government disinformation campaigns?
Why not?
So let's have a look. Probably the 1975 to 1976 Church Committee. found that the intelligence ran programs like COINTELPRO and Project Mockingbird to influence and disrupt domestic media and activists. Was an FBI campaign using spies, fake news releases, and informants to discredit civil rights and anti-war groups. Operation Northwoods was also a planned DoD/Joint Chiefs false flag scheme to stage terror attacks on Americans, ship sinkings, hijacks, blamed on Cuba to justify war. In summary, governments have planned disinformation and false flags actions in the past, though not all of them have been carried out. We've got a bunch of historical examples, as we said, COINTELPRO. They would target people like the Black Panthers. I've got a problem with them targeting the Ku Klux Klan, but apparently they did. And this is stuff that has now come out, and we've seen it de-archived, and if we go on the CIA.gov website, we can see all of this kind of things in the Cold War and how the CIA was behaving. I mean, it's not just the CIA. This is a tenet of intelligence agencies. Disinformation is deception at its finest point, and it is one of the most useful assets in an intelligence agency's war chest. For example, in World War II, I don't know if you've seen the film with Colin Firth where they dropped a piece of paper on a dead body and then sent it to the German Isles, and it got picked up by the SS, and then they thought that they were going to invade Sicily when they actually were invading Greece, or it might be the other way around. But yeah, they managed to successfully use disinformation to get the Nazis to move troops away, and then they did the opposite of what they told the Nazis. A very effective use of disinformation.
So it has its positive, then we can say, aspects, more benign. I'm reluctant to say that in a way, because the disinformation has been so prejudicial to the welfare of humanity in the main.
Absolutely.
I know that Operation Mockingbird, I think it was 1954.
Right. Yes.
It was that it was instigated. There were 400 or 600, might be 400, journalists that were in the pay of the CIA. And these are not just Americans. These are,
all around the world.
Britain doesn't get a free pass on this either.
No.
So, neither does Canada or any of the developed countries. On the medical experimentation side, I mean, stuff has been going on since the Rockefellers back in the early last century. But it's been going on for a very long time. It's nothing new. I mean,
for all time.
The harmful stuff where you lead people down to either cause them harm or cause a trajectory of events which will eventually be disastrous or harmful is so common. We have trusted so deeply things like the NHS in the UK, the National Health Service, to do the right thing. When in fact, and I'm going to cite COVID again, it's not just during COVID, but specifically during COVID, and it's not the only country either, were awful in many cases. So many people have been hurt and damaged through that.
Now with the the rise of social media and the ability with AI to do bot farming. We saw in 2016 a very, very early version of bot farming was the Mueller report from the US military that stated that Vladimir Putin was using bots to sow polarization in the 2016 election. And that's one of the ones that got caught. I mean, there is really no telling how many bots we have on the internet who are spreading disinformation or polarization for foreign leaders' goals or just intelligence goals, really.
Let's look local.
Local.
Tend to think that the enemy is without. Often it's within our environment. And absolutely. So many people have just, from all walks of life as well, just absolutely had these safety blinkers on. No, I don't want to see what's out there. And yes, it can be a bit scary to
absolutely
to look, and you will know about that, but there is support and there are ways to handle that, and like you said before, it can be a bit overwhelming, kind of tsunami of information, and you're trying to tease a strand or two so you can take it in and assimilate it as something worthwhile and useful to you. Well,
bot farming is quite common. I mean, it's not just bot farming as well, it's actual some people who are like in the top. So obviously we know that in the original days of the internet, a lot of internet culture was downstream of 4chan. So what we found about a couple of months ago is when 4chan got hacked, we found a lot of .edu email addresses, a lot of .gov email addresses running the moderation on 4chan.
Can you tell us, just give us a brief overview of 4chan?
So 4chan was this probably the original message board of the internet.
Yeah.
It's where Anonymous came from. It's where a lot of the memes come from. It is the original place where people come up with internet jokes. It's also filled with a lot of racism and a lot of homophobia, anti-Semitism, all of that. Basically, anything you see on the internet comes downstream from 4chan. Now, when it comes to conspiracy theories, I am of the belief, obviously I can't prove this, that when a conspiracy theory that is true maybe gets mentioned, then the moderators will go absolutely crazy and then flood it with stuff that isn't true to get chaos around it. Because the thing with the internet is you can't delete something really. Someone will have seen it, someone will have reposted it. But what you can do is flood the zone and it will never be seen because there's so much going on. So I think that's probably what they were doing on 4chan. But I have to make an emphasis that ConspiraClear cannot be another 4chan because the way 4chan worked and how it was like completely free to say whatever you want discredits investigations. Like I can't have a bunch of racism and anti-Semitism and stuff underneath the theories because otherwise no one's gonna hear me out and it's just like it's not gonna work. So there will have to be some level of censorship on the chat rooms there, just for the part
Well,
of the
I think you have
investigation.
to have clear parameters, and that you're not there to be insulting, you're not there to be
No,
denigrating to anybody, you're there to impart what you feel is information. So
absolutely.
I think that's very important, Sam.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think the number one thing with ConspiraClear is going to be that index, that laying it all out. I mean, at the moment, the way I'm looking at the index is we'll have every single theory we can find on there. Then we'll track the first time it is mentioned on the internet. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit harder for older conspiracy theories that come from the 80s and 60s and so on, from books and stuff. But we can use web scrapers to track the first time a theory is mentioned, and we can track down the first person to mention a theory, and we can see if they're a reliable source or if they're just someone chatting shit or if they're a government disinformation agent. It's going to be really interesting, I think. Obviously, it's going to be a bit dangerous. It's going to be a bit out there, out the box, but you got to try it. Got to try it. If I could just go through the other sections of ConspiraClear and really give a full-fledged idea of the platform. It starts with that index, and underneath every single conspiracy, you'll have a discussion forum that you can talk and debate and stuff like that. And then we'll have the investigations department, which will be hopefully a team of really, really, really solid journalists and investigators, and they can dig into the theories that received the most traction, has got the most evidence, and really get a full brief. And then on top of that, we'll have a full transparency like black box where we can show all of our sources that we can show and where we got the information from. And then obviously we're going to need to fund these investigations, so there'll be a funding portion as well for people to contribute and stuff like that, and you may get more access. If I'm not sure I'm going to work it yet, because I'm not sure I believe in the idea of a paywall for information, but I'm trying to figure that out right
It's a
now.
difficult one, that one, isn't it? And
Yeah,
especially when you're setting up something that has such a public facing aspect,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
maybe down the line, if you start producing a little docu
Documentary.
series of
Yeah,
a compilation of
yeah,
things, maybe then that's a point at which you could,
yeah.
introduce something like that once you've got a good fan base, if that's
On
what it's
there,
called.
we've been. I've actually been in contact with a couple whistleblowers in the US. Some guy who is on the coast in California who keeps seeing UAP flying in and around helicopters and stuff. Apparently, he gets a lot of Black Hawk helicopters outside his house. So obviously, I've been digging into that a little bit more. And yeah, obviously, we're in the very beginning stages. I've been reaching out to try and get in contact with universities and scientists and stuff like that to really dig deep. But yeah, as I say, we're just getting started.
I don't know whether you've looked at the work of Cliff High. Do you know who Cliff High is?
No, I don't.
I think his website or Substack is something like Half Past Human. But
Oh, I'll give that a look.
on Telegram, he is as well. I
Uh,
mention him because since, I don't know, the early 2000s, he's been web scraping. I think finding sort of trends from the overall language. It's a massive language, a large language, if you like, scraping of the essential verbiage. I can't even imagine the words and
what a
what
massive
have you,
undertaking.
and phrases and everything, to know that the stock market would be doing X and Y at a certain
Wow.
time. All the indications led to it. And indeed, he's made a bit of a living with people paying him to have a look
True.
at that. So it's not divination or anything like
Mm.
that. It is taken from, it's a real science. He was just mentioning on a recent interview that he saw something from all those years back, something like 2009, 10, that there'd be a president who was going to get shot, and also that a very prominent podcaster would be interviewing this president,
Oh wow.
which turned out to be the Joe Rogan interview
Yeah.
with Trump, as it happened, and then he got,
Mm.
he got the assassination attempt on Trump as
Mm.
well, and he's just so on it. Really brilliant mind. Anyway, it's something for everybody to have
Mm.
a
Yeah,
look at. His
absolutely.
lots of amazing people out there doing
Really
similar
great
work.
work. On the remote viewing stuff, obviously I'd have to do a lot more research into it, but I am very interested in, working with some of them, and because I know that the military did an experiment where they did like had a bunch of people remote view the same target and see what they came up with, and of course there was a
Well, the
little bit of
Americans have done a ton
differentiation.
of work on it. So have the Russians.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of differentiation, but I think if we can replicate that experiment, we could be in for a real bust up if bust up of the information, because
Yeah.
it is a fringe topic, the remote viewing. I mean, even if you talk to some UAP people, they don't know what it is, and it's something that
And
is quite deep down.
Stanford Research Institute, SRI, did a
Mm,
massive long study. I think they had Hal Puthoff, who's still with us. He's an
mm.
amazing scientist. And they had all kinds of incredible experiments done over the years. Astonishing stuff. So,
Yeah, there was one guy that was able to map an entire Soviet base or something, and he saw they were building a submarine, and the intelligence community dismissed it as, they're not building a submarine. And then probably about 3 years later, they found the submarine. He was like, oh my God, what is like? I mean, for a lot of people, that's going to be very, very far out there, but that's what Conspiracy is about: is building that rapport, and
remote viewing, and then you take a
mm,
tangent into telepathy.
yeah,
Are they
yeah.
related? Of a
Who
recent
knows?
series called the Telepathy Tapes.
Yes, I've heard.
If you know about that, that very interesting work with autistic children and how
Mm,
the non-verbal children, a lot of them, but there was this incredible telepathy amongst them, and it is incredible research
yeah.
work.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is we'll hopefully be able to cover all things, bit out there, bit in there, everywhere. I mean, the two-pronged approach that ConspiraClear has is investigation and fact-checking. I mean,
Yeah,
both are essential to the mission because we have to clean up the space in order to get the information out there. Two-pronged approach really does well, then, we can build up trust, and gradually people who are, a bit entrenched in their own narrative will hopefully come out a little bit and engage with our research, and then people who are a bit entrenched in the
yeah. So
mainstream will hopefully come out a bit and engage. As the thing gains more traction, we'll be launching our own investigations as well. So yeah, it will start with lots of sources and lots of guiding you to these places and that, and bring it into one place. But as the site grows and we have more of a network and a bigger platform, we'll be able to conduct bigger investigations.
perhaps if you could give your contact details and
Absolutely, I can give my contact details. So my email is charlie@conspiraclear.com. Email me anytime, any place. And then I've also obviously got Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, everything like that. And as we roll out through the thing, we'll be doing more marketing. I'm working on a big YouTube video right now that will hopefully explain the entire platform. So the YouTube channel is called CONSPIRICLEAR. Everything's just CONSPIRICLEAR. I was very lucky to just get the name across all platforms.
Brilliant.
But yeah, should be out in a week or so. There's a
How
few
long
things.
is that video, Charlie?
It should be about 15 minutes to 20 minutes. I mean, a big, lengthy animation and stuff. That's why it's taking quite a while. The next week or so, I'm hoping to meet with a few funders and a few investigators who are a little bit interested in what we're doing. So hopefully, it will really snowball out of what we're at now and just bring in more people. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
And I think, good for you. It's a great initiative, and I think it could become a really powerful platform. So, thanks for
thank you.
taking,
No worries. Thank you so much.
taking the lead on that.
Thank you for having me on, and been lovely.
You're very welcome. I think that CONSPIRICLEAR sounds like a fabulous platform for a conference. I mean,
Yes.
can you imagine that it'd be like Comic-Con? You get all these amazing speakers from all
CONSPIRICON.
Really, CONSPIRICLEAR. I think it sounds brilliant, and
I mean, absolutely. I'd absolutely be down to host a conference of some kind. Hopefully in the near future. I mean,
well,
all right.
Charlie Carter, thank you very much, and
Thanks so much.
We'll look forward to meeting up at some other point at some other UAP event or some
Absolutely,
CONSPIRICLEAR event.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Always welcome.
All right. Well, thanks very much for Charlie, from Charlie and myself. So it's over and out from the ET Newsroom. And thank you very much, folks. Take care until next time.
Thank you.
All right,
Have a good one.
Take care. God bless.
Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye.